The siege is set to be lifted today, but the question is not whether aid is allowed in. The question is, has the world just witnessed a genocide unfold live, unfiltered, and unapologetic? What happened in Gaza was not a conflict. It was not a clash of equals. It was the calculated crushing of a captive population, a slow burning catastrophe televised in real time, and yet in the face of mass death and digital evidence, the world hesitated to speak the truth. This is not just about Palestine, this is about the soul of humanity, and whether the moral compass we claim to hold dear is still worth the word. We write it again. I am Ibrahim Umarwasi. This is Connecting the Dots. "80 days, that's how long it took for the iron fist of siege to momentarily unleashed. 80 days of unrelenting fire, hunger, fear, and death. And now Israel claims the gates have been opened. Israel allow only 9 trucks today, while Gaza need over 500 trucks of humanitarian aid daily. To speak of Palestine is to risk being branded terrorist sympathizer, anti-Semite, extremist. But truth does not bow to slander. Yes, Hamas fired rockets. Yes, Israeli citizens have died. But the response, a response that has decimated entire neighborhood, annihilated families and starved a population, is not self-defense. It is collective punishment, and under international law, that is a war crime. Let us be clear, condemning genocide is not anti-Semitic, it is human. You can mourn Jewish lives lost in October 7 and still call for justice in Gaza. This is not a binary of blood, it is a normal imperative. Forced starvation is an act of genocide.
As the Prime Minister and fellow leaders said yesterday, we cannot stand by in the face of this new deterioration. It is incompatible with the principles that underpin our bilateral relationship, rejected by members across this House, and frankly, it's an affront to the values of the British people. Therefore, today, I'm announcing that we have suspended negotiations with this Israeli government on a new free trade agreement. We will be reviewing cooperation with them under the 2030 bilateral roadmap. The Netanyahu's government's actions have made this necessary. Madam Deputy Speaker, today, my honourable friend, the Minister for the Middle East, is summoning the Israeli ambassador to the Foreign Office to convey this message. I say now to the people of Israel, I want a strong friendship with you based on shared values, with flourishing ties between our people and societies. We are unwavering in our commitment to your security and to your future, to countering the very real threat from Iran, the scourge of terrorism, and the evils of anti-Semitism. But the conduct of the war in Gaza is damaging our relationship with your government. And as the Prime Minister has said, if Israel pursues this military offensive, as it has threatened, failing to ensure the unhindered provision of aid, we will take further action in response.
Supplies streak in, cameras flash, Western diplomats and leaders make careful worded statements. I'm sick and tired of coming back to this chamber, asking the same question, getting the same answers. When war crime after war crime is being committed and when a genocide is taking place. This is the word of British MP Richard Bogan.
I'm sick and tired of coming back to this chamber, asking the same questions, getting the same answers when war crime after war crime is being committed and when a genocide is taking place. And it's a sick joke to believe that it's right, which it is, to impose sanctions on Russia for its unlawful invasion of Ukraine, yet we're meant to believe that tutting Benjamin Netanyahu and telling everyone that we think this is really bad somehow cuts the mustard. It doesn't. Words aren't enough to stop war crimes. We need more than words. We need more than actions. How many more Gazans need to be killed by Israel injured by Israel, starved by Israel, until the government does the right thing and brings widespread sanctions in, like it's done on Russia, because people think we're scared and people think it's double standards.
The member of the UK Parliament, Zara Sultana, asked David Lammy, Secretary of State for Foreign and Commonwealth Affairs of the United Kingdom, how he sleep at night.
Between October and December 2024, the government approved over £127 million in export licenses to Israel, exceeding the combined total under the Tories for 2020 to 2023. These licenses, granted after the government's so-called temporary suspension, include components for lethal F-35 fighter jets. Jets Israel is now flying at 5 times the usual rate, decimating Gaza. Children are starving, families have been wiped out, hospitals destroyed, yet the government in court claims that there is no evidence Israel targets civilians. The Foreign Secretary is personally responsible and refuses to ban all arms sales to this genocidal state. So, like many across Britain, I have to ask the Foreign Secretary, how do you sleep at night?
Well, the Honourable Lady has raised figures that I don't recognise. She's raised once again the issue of arms sales to Israel. I banned arms sales that could be used in Gaza. I know that the Honourable Lady is keen on clickbait, but I'm not going to be baited from this dispatch box.
For the record, 57 children have already died because of malnutrition. But Lamy says Zara Sultana is keen on clickbait. What a way to describe genocide. But for the people of Gaza, the question is not whether the siege has lifted. The question is, has the world just stood still and watched genocide unfold in real time? This is not a hyperbole. This is not rhetoric. It is history clawing at our conscience. From the onset, Gaza has been called the world's largest open-air prison. 2 million people fenced in, cut off by land, sea and air. No escape, no justice. But what unfolded over 1 year was not merely imprisonment. It was the systematic destruction of life, human life, stripped of all dignity. The statistic, while necessary, feel obsessed in their coolest. Over 40,000 Palestinian killed, most of them women and children. 1,000 buried beneath rubble, hospitals boom, school reduced to ash, markets, churches and mosques turned into grave sites. Is that not genocide? If not, what then is the threshold? International law defines genocide as acts committed with intent to destroy, in whole or in parts, a national, ethical, racial or religious group. The United Nations enshrined this after the Holocaust. Never again, they said. But now never again ring hollow, drowned by the roar of jet fighters and the cries of hungry children. Words are now chosen with surgical caution. Disproportionate response, they say. Collateral damage. Israelis' right to self-defense. But who defend the defenseless? This is the British Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, when asked whether he considered the action of the Israeli government genocidal.
What is happening in Gaza? Is it genocide? Are you doing enough to prevent it? Trade talks suspended, summoning the ambassador. Will you go further than that? But is it genocide, first of all?
Well, the situation is intolerable and unacceptable. And that's why over the last 3 or 4 days, I've been talking to leaders of other countries. We put out a statement yesterday. The Foreign Secretary is making a statement today about the collective coordinated response. In terms of international law, I set that out in my statement. But I do want to be really clear that humanitarian aid needs to get in at pace. The current situation in which we're seeing the bombardment, including of children, and the prospect of starvation is just intolerable, which is why, as I say, we're coordinating with our allies on this.
We, the children of empire's leftovers, recognize the smell of selective morality. When the victim is black or brown, the world debates their humanity, like philosophers musing over abstraction. But Gaza is not an abstraction. It is a place of flesh and bone, of mothers holding babies with no pulse, of fathers digging graves with bare hands. In 1994, when the Rwandan genocide occurred, the world claimed it did not know. This time, there is no such excuses. Social media brought the war into our homes. We saw children die on live streams. We heard the bombs. We read the names. We watched as hospitals screamed for fuel, as babies were placed in ice cream freezers because morgues were full. The genocide, if we dare call it that, did not happen in the shadows. It happened in HD. The International Court of Justice in The Hague reportedly considered it plausibly that Israel's act could amount to genocide. So why the silence? Why did the so-called champions of human rights wait until the smoke cleared to express deep concern? Could it be that Palestinian lives are simply not as valuable in the global moral marketplace? Could it be that the language of civilization still excludes the colonized?
The Prime Minister said we must not reach a situation of famine, both from a practical and diplomatic standpoint. So not looking at things here from a humanitarian perspective, but he goes on to say about how Israel's best friends have sent the message that while they may be supplying weapons for Israel to wage war in Gaza, defending Israel at the UN Security Council, they will not tolerate these images of mass starvation. And he said we need to provide a minimal basic bridge, just enough to prevent hunger, indicating that things in Gaza have got, in his view, close to this red line.
So it's fair to say that we are happy to support and arm you while you carry out genocide, but don't openly starve 2 million people to death. It makes us look bad. For the first time, humanity have united. Yesterday, a Microsoft employee and an ex-Google worker disrupted Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella's keynote speech, accusing the tech company of enabling Israel war on Gaza.
And when it comes to VS Code, just a couple of weeks ago,
Satya,
we shipped...
how about you show them how Microsoft is killing Palestinians? How about you show how Israeli war crimes are powered by Azure? And the Microsoft war crimes are used.
Are you having a seat right here? Sorry. Are you having a seat right here? Oh, then you can have Free Palestine!
I refuse to be complicit in this genocide, he said. To our diplomats and leaders, Pan-Africanism is not a slogan. It is a commitment to the oppressed, whether in Soweto or in Rafah. If we stand for truth in Kinshasa, we must not be cowards in Gaza. Nelson Mandela once said, our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of the Palestinians. Yet today, too many of his successors act as if Palestinian suffering is a political inconvenience. The dust may settle, the bomb may pause. AIDS may trickle in like pity from a reluctant land, but Gaza is not healed. Gaza is not free, and the question still burns like white phosphorus in the conscience of the world. Did we witness genocide, and do we dare call it by its name? History is watching. Not only the powerful who dropped the bombs or those who founded them, but the rest of us. The silence of majority. Our grandchildren will ask what we did when children cried beneath rubbles, when ambulances became targets, when journalists became martyrs. They will not be satisfied with hashtags or half-truths. True justice begins not with charity, but with clarity, with calling things what they are, with standing not for political convenience, but for human dignity. Let it be known, the people of Gaza are not statistics. They are not debris. They are not a moral footnote in someone else's narrative. They are a people of courage, or spirit of resistance. And if the world dare forget them, let the global south, let Africa, let every colonized soul remember this. We are bound together, not just by history, but by shared struggle against the machinery of dehumanization. The siege may be lifted, but the fight for justice has only just begun. So stay awake, stay aware, and most importantly, stay united. This is Connecting the Dots. This is the voice of New Africa. And I am your brother, Ibrahim Umarwasi. Let the dots begin to connect. Until next time.